Yo, what's up, guys? It's Luke again. I want to talk about something because it was on my mind, and I don't know, just yeah, I was just thinking about it, rambling thoughts, and just kind of wanted to ramble. So I figured, you know what? I don't know. The best kinds of videos where I talk, I find that do the best is just unscripted on the fly, just as thoughts are flowing through my brain. I can just think about it the best. It's very unorganized, but it's also very organic. So I think it's the best. So let me just go. So I was thinking about how to become the best kind of or the best influencer, like a successful influencer. And I think it's basically a culmination of many different things. And I was thinking about like the markets, the kind of target audience, what you kind of want to do, and how to kind of do that. So the title of this video is going to be how to be a successful influencer, but I honestly think that uh, this can be applied to anything. And also, I'm going to use the context of gaming, specifically the game Valorant. So it's like there's a lot of important things when it comes to Valorant. So let's think about your goal. So your goal is to be like influencer, right? So you want to be like an influencer, right? You want people to watch you and give you attention, right? So that's your goal. You want to be a successful influencer. How do you do that? Well, let's think about how you get there, right? Your target audience. So the act of being an influencer is having people watch you. And let's say you want to be a Valorant influencer. Well, your audience is probably going to be Valorant players, right? Now let's think about Val players for a second here. What do they? I've never used MS Paint in my life, so forgive me. But Valorant players, what kind of people are they? Let's think about because I'm trying to think about this as a business, right? The product. How do we figure out what the product is and what do the customers want? Well, first we need to understand the customers to understand the kind of product we want and then how to best achieve that product. So, Val players is the customer. So, what do the customers want? Well, Valorant is a game, and generally people play games to have fun, which I know sounds really obvious and dumb, but it's important to really understand that. So, Valorant players want fun, right? And you want to be an influencer. And the way usually, and let's say you don't just want to be an influencer, but you want to be the perfect kind, the best kind, the most successful kind in this context. Success can mean very lots of different things, but let's assume success means a large audience, the largest kinds of audience, the most amount of attention, right? The most amount of influence. Um, so then we have to think. If we want to have the largest audience, we need to apply to the largest customer base. And the largest customer base is people who are looking to have fun, right? Happiness. What does that mean? Fun, happy, and laughter, right? So these are the things we want to kind of provide. Fun, happy, laugh. So then you think about, okay, this is your customers and this is the what they seek. It's like you have a problem, a solution, and there isn't really a problem or a solution, but rather a desire, right? It's like some people play games, to kind of for that competitive urge to kind of itch that. And there are influencers who only make educational content, which can work, but if we're thinking about the largest audience, it's just majority of people in this specific market do this thing for fun. And if we think about another market, like let's take a look at education, right? Obviously, if you're in the market of like school and education, then you want to sell a product that appeals to the largest audience of that kind of market. So like in the context of school, your product would be information in the form of education. But in the context of game, the markets, what the customers want is not knowledge. Okay, that's a better word. So in school, the customer wants knowledge, right? But in gaming, the customer wants fun, all these things, right? So it's different market, different kind of atmosphere, different things, different. I don't know. I'm not very good with words. Bear with me. Sorry, I'll get to the point. So, how do we provide this, right? How do we provide the most amount of influence, the biggest amount of audience, because we want numbers and we want people to watch us? Well, it's basically a bunch of little things, right? There's like the main thing, which is all of this, which is the product, what customers want, and you're kind of the product as well, by the way, because you're providing that. Because it's interesting, because the thing with being an influencer is usually you have a separate product, but you yourself are the product because you are an influencer. So it's not a static thing. It's like very dynamic. So it's very interesting, in my opinion. So how it works is, like I said, I'm thinking about this as I go, but it's just scrambled thoughts. It's 3 a.m. I was thinking about this while eating blueberries in the kitchen. So this is probably going to be really scuffed, but this is what I think. How do you do that? Well, you basically want to invoke these emotions because that's what they're searching for. Your job is to provide this product, and since you yourself are the product as an influencer, you need to provoke these emotions. You need to be able to, in order to have that largest amount of audience, which is mainly people looking for fun and escape, is like you provide these positive emotions, right? And that's your job. So how do you do that? Well, obviously you can invoke these emotions, but the other things you could do as an influencer, just also due to this unique kind of marketplace and industry, that's the word, industry, due to this industry, is many other things are also important. It's not just all of this, it's also that, oh, what the heck, this only goes by 100. Can I make this bigger? It's also that it's not just provoking these emotions, it's lots of other things. It's that the audience has a connection with you. So like audience, like people, whatever, a bunch of people, is a bunch of things that come along with being a successful influencer. Like you want to create a kind of relationship between you and them, between you and them, right? It goes back and forth, and this is where the kind of parasocial aspect comes in. You want them to feel like they are actually friends with you, even though you have never met them in your life. It's like you want to create this kind of fake but real emotional bond where they feel like they know you, they know who you are, even though you may not know who they are, and like they have a real connection with you. And there's many ways to do that, right? It's through providing, lore about yourself, stories and all that, your interests, your hobbies, what kind of person you are, what you do, especially the good things you do, and then, basically make yourself seem as real and genuine as possible, right? So that's very important. But then there's a bunch of other little things you could do to kind of make that seem believable. For example, if you can appear as someone to look up to, then that'll be very attractive. Whether it's physically, you look attractive, right? And okay, I'm not saying that like if you aren't physically attractive, that you're not supposed to. Basically, I'm not discriminating against any kind of person. I'm just thinking of the highest level of success and how to attract an audience, right? I think ideally you like min-max all these things, the way you look, provoking these emotions to the audience, appearing kind of parasocial, which sounds really bad, but it's not as bad as you think, in my opinion. And then also being someone you look up to. Like for example, if you're a decorated kind of person, if you've done a lot of accomplishments, if you've reached certain heights, accomplished certain things, whether it's like you're really good at something, you've achieved a certain goal, you've reached a certain level of mastery in a skill. It's like all these things are very important. So then, because think about it, if you have all these little things, then it's like perfect, right? Because it's like you look attractive, you're cool, there's a parasocial relationship, and they think they're friends with you, they like your interests, and they have stuff to look up to. It's like all these things, right? It's like a checklist of like all these things, and they're all little things, but they all add up and they're very important. And I think that's what separates the biggest influencers from like just middle ones or smaller ones. Like the biggest ones are like 10 out of 10 score for all these factors. They look attractive, they have cool interests, they're interesting people. You feel like you have an emotional bond to them, and they're decorated with accomplishments and things they've done that you can look up to. It's like when you put all these things together, you kind of have the perfect recipe for success for an influencer, in my opinion. And what else is there's lots of other stuff. There's like having a story. There's, and then as your audience kind of goes through your journey in your life with you, is like if they're able to watch the highs and the lows and kind of see you overcome obstacles, because in my opinion, your audience, they want to see you succeed if they like you, if they like the kind of person you are. And I think this just goes along with how humans work in general, is like they want to see you succeed, and then it makes them happy. Them seeing you do well makes them happy, because then they feel like they're a part of it. I think that's how it works. So yeah, so I don't know, I kind of went on a tangent, but it's like, yeah, I was just thinking about like a business, like basic business model, how it works. If you have like B for business, and then you have like your audience A, and then your product P, and then like what kind of things those things entail. I was like, okay, well, how do you apply this to being an influencer business, audience, what they want, these things, these positive emotions, or what the biggest audience is. Because if you want a big business, you want to attract a big audience, and then what's the products that you kind of give to those guys? How does that work? Because like I was thinking about the gaming industry as a whole, and how the biggest games, they appeal to the largest amounts of audiences, and they have the most success because they're able to appeal to all corners of the market. And the context of gaming specifically, and I'm just using that because that's what I'm most familiar with, is you have, for example, the casual audience and the competitive audience. That's like the main two audiences you usually have in gaming. It's like if you can create a game that can appeal to casual and competitive, and then you have all these other little things kind of mixed in, and then it's just like, low key, chat, this is how I create a successful game, right? This is how I actually just create a successful game. Also, the visual appeal. Can I talk a second about the gaming market? Chat, is that okay if I just talk about the gaming market? The gaming market has changed a lot over the years. It's not the same that it used to be. So this is how it used to be. This is like the timeline, right? Let me like use green or blue or something. This is the timeline of gaming. So you used to play games. This is like completely different, but hey, we're on a tangent now. I'm a tangent kind of guy, so we're just gonna jump around a million different things. I don't care. Click off the video if you want. I don't know. You don't have to watch. I'm not forcing you to watch this. You can leave. Anyways, the beginning and the end, and where we are, and I think we're about like here. This is where we are. So at the beginning, Pong is made. Let's just say here, Pong Val. Back in the day, people used to play, basically, let me just cut this down. People used to play games for the gameplay. Nowadays, being a gamer entails much more than just playing a game for the game itself. So, there's a lot of reasons why this kind of happened. Social validation, human nature, all these different things, and why I'll get into why I think Valorant is successful, and they kind of encompass everything that is just genius, by the way, by Riot. But you used to play games for the gameplay, right? It's like back in the day, there was no online, there was multiplayer, but in terms of like for the main part, okay, yeah, sure, if you go to an arcade, like one of those box machines, like you have player 1 and player 2, but for the most part, I'd say largest audience, like take a game like Pac-Man or something, it's like one player, sure, maybe 2, but generally you play a game for the gameplay. You didn't play it for the graphics because it was like 16-bit, or like Pong, like is literally like fucking just lines in white and black. You used to play games for gameplay, right? Gameplay. And that was it, because other things didn't exist. There wasn't things like online communication, social media, friends list, skins like gun skins, weapon skins, fancy graphics, or the whole culture and ecosystem with gaming. And it honestly wasn't as socially acceptable as it is now. Obviously now it's like whatever, just a normal hobby. But I used to play games for gameplay. Now let's just jump straight to Val, because I'm just an all over the place kind of guy. Now it's scary, because when I was thinking about this earlier, I realized that the gameplay is actually a very small byproduct, or it's a very small sub part of the game itself. Like, people don't play games anymore for the gameplay, which sounds insane to say, but hear me out, okay? Hear me out before you say, what do you mean you don't play games to play? What do you mean you don't play video games to play video games for the gameplay? That doesn't make any sense, Luke. What are you saying? Just listen to me. Or at least some people don't. And I don't think that's a bad thing completely. It has pros and cons. I'll say what. I'll give my opinion on all of this afterwards. Basically, I'm going to use Valorant as an example, because like I said, is what I'm most familiar with and the best example. And I was just thinking about it earlier. There's so many things that come with the game Valorant. And I realized that, and like I said, I don't think this is a bad thing, but a lot of people don't play this game just for the gameplay anymore. It's for a lot of things that come with it. Things like... Oh wait, can I just type text box? Oh, is that a thing? Okay. Things like... Oh shoot, this is huge. 200. Nah. We need like 11. Or like... 36. Okay, so you have gameplay. But that's like kind of, that's the past, right? So that's what it used to be. But now it's things like rank, which is like status. You have socializing, which is like friend list. Then you have skins, which is like cosmetic stuff. Cosmetic. Fuck, how do you spell cosmetic? Cosmetic. Okay. And then what else do you have? Communication. Also just dating. I might have spelled something. Whatever. Who cares about spelling? Dating, which I know sounds crazy, but I'll get into that in a bit. And then you also have... by the way, it's so interesting. I just want to talk about this. I think fashion industry, it's like interesting because I think Valorant has, and games in general, all games, not just Valorant, have really drawn from like consumerism and fashion industry. Because I think that there's basically people play Valorant. So there's a lot of people who only play Valorant for things that don't even have to do with the game itself. That's what I'm trying to get at. For showing you have a certain skill level, for like the pixels, the skins, the cosmetic effect. It's like going shopping, you know, or going to the mall, getting new clothes. Like, oh, this looks really pretty, or this looks sick as hell, or you know, the skin looks really cool. Oh, when I shoot it at these people, what kind of animation is this? Ooh, that looks satisfying, you know. It's like, it's just interesting, right? Because it's no longer about just the gameplay. It's like a whole nother world, marketplace. It's just, yeah. And then the other part is the social aspect, right? And nobody is talking about this, but voice chat. Voice is huge, and not that many people realize this, but why voice is so important, right? So this is why gaming has kind of changed and why anyone can play it. Because it used to be gaming was kind of a small market and the audience was kind of limited to just people who like the gameplay. So like, this is going to blow your guys' mind, trust. Oops, can I make a copy of this? Whoa, oh no, I can't. So this is going to blow your guys' mind. Let me just try to process this in my own brain. So you take a game with gameplay, right? That only applies to like a small audience, right? Because, and there's not a large audience for like, in terms of like a business model, because it only appeals to the people who play for the gameplay. But then what happens when you mix the gameplay with core human nature, desires and instincts, and just things that all humans like and enjoy, and combine the two together. You just have this insane, massive, like multi-billion dollar like business of just all these things, right? So instead of just the gameplay now, it's like these companies realize it's like you can throw in all these things, and this is just 5 random things I picked, but there's like 100 of them, and rather than just having a game that a small audience of, say, gamers enjoy, it's like suddenly you take a thing that all humans like, for example, communicating or socializing, and then you combine it with the gameplay, and suddenly your audience isn't just people who like playing the game, but people who like talking, right? It's like maybe you're not a gamer and you don't like playing games, but maybe you like meeting new people or talking. I mean, it's like food, right? It's like everybody has to eat. So if you like want to make a food business, it's automatically just gonna apply to like the market of every human being, because every human has to eat. Now, granted, it's not that simple, and maybe you have a specific kind of food that maybe only certain people like, but my point is that it widens the audience, right? So suddenly you have a game, but it's not just a game, it has all these things that appeals not just to gamers, but rather all humans as a whole, because all humans like talking, all humans want to attract. And by the way, I think it should be completely normalized. I don't think it's a bad thing to talk about e-dating and like people playing just for the sake of meeting new people, whether that be friends or for relationships, right? And you know, there's not that much science behind this yet, because technology and like our generation as a whole, this is very new, and we don't know the long-term consequences of things like meeting people just through online and games and relationships and all that. But it's like there's people, suddenly it's not just about the gameplay, it's about talking with people, it's about meeting new people, it's about I don't think people should have as much shame as they think, at least when it comes to just playing games for the sake of being attracted to other people, given obviously it's like in a normal environment and nothing's wrong or illegal or anything like that. It's like just a regular stage. But yeah, it's like all people, sorry, I'm saying all people, but like most people are, at least like when your audience is especially like, I don't know, people in their 20s. I'm 22. Maybe that isn't the exact target audience, but I'm kind of pulling random examples out of thin air. But let's just say like you have people in their 20s, generally they like talking with each other, they want to attract other people, or maybe they're attracted to other people, and boom, you have a perfect setting to do that, right? And then, right, it's really smart because they take all these things that humans really like by nature, and then they just combine it all together, and they create this whole ecosystem where it's not just about the gameplay anymore, it's about all these other things. For example, you have the skins. So they think about the social aspect, and now let's think about the skins. How does this tie into like the competitive human nature and social human nature? Well, you can share skins with other people, and you can show your status. Some bundles are cheap, but some are really expensive. So you can show, okay, not everyone buys skins. Okay, people don't buy skins to show how much money they've spent. Actually, nobody does that. But it's kind of like a subconscious science-y effect under the covers that people may not even realize, right? And like, I'm very bad at explaining this, so this may just sound absolutely ridiculous, but I'm telling you, it's like all these things that nobody really talks about, or people don't realize what's at play. But I promise you, the people at Riot Games, it's like they consider these game design choices very much and very wisely. And you have to remember that Riot as a game company have made League. They made League somewhere along the line, and they took the 10 plus years of experience in League, and they basically applied all of that along with a bunch of new ideas. And like basically this is all Riot did, right? With League of Legends. It's like, this is basically Valorant in a nutshell, right? Is you take a game like freaking This is what they did. Let's look for a game that's successful. Let's look for an already successful formula. You're right? You have League. League is really good, but it has its flaws, right? Whether that be that it's a really hard game to get into, entry level, or maybe it only appeals to a certain audience because, League has a very fantasy effect. So, all right, we're Riot. We made a successful game, 10 years. A bunch of people like it. It's very competitive, and it appeals to a wide audience, but what if we can make a game that appeals to any audience, casual and competitive players alike? How do we do that? Well, let's start with the gameplay itself, which is only going to be a very small part of the picture, which is surprising because you think the gameplay is going to be big, but it's actually a small part in terms of like a business model, right? And a successful product. So let's see. Okay, FPS genre. Let's look at the most popular genre in the world. FPS. It's just undoubtedly just stats. Okay, what is one of the most popular online FPS games? Oh, well, there's many of them, right? But what has been long-standing? Tactical shooter. Let's think about all the kinds of FPS games and what that entails, and what every single FPS game entails. Well, there's single player, then there's games like with complicated movement. So there's all these things. Sorry, I'm thinking about it and I'm realizing a lot of this information is unnecessary because it's not the point. But what's so beautiful? Why did they choose? So obviously they stole CSGO or just Counter-Strike as a whole. But why is this so genius to go with this product, right, as the base gameplay? There's many different reasons. One, why did they specifically choose like tactical shooter and this as their next product out of anything? Well, many reasons. One, FPS, largest genre in the world. Then in FPS, why specifically tactical shooter? Because it's easy to understand, entry level, high skill ceiling, and then not only that, okay, but now there's one other very, very important piece to the puzzle, which is the fact that it's not just a tactical shooter, first-person shooter, but it's 5v5. Why is that so important? Because that ties into the whole human kind of desire, all these like things. This is just huge. I don't know. I'll come back to it, but it's what I was talking about earlier. These like human instincts, these things anybody can enjoy. Anybody enjoys talking with each other, laughing, making friends, and all that, right? And a team environment is perfect for that. By the way, there's a reason why like you see so many people meet through e-dating and Valorant. Think about it. 5v5 game, you're stuck with a group of 5 people for a prolonged period of time, half an hour, like problem solving, struggling together, playing against another team. You're forced to work together, and let's say you have a guy and a girl who ends up dating, right? It's like they meet for the first time, ranked game, 5v5. It's like you're forced to be with each other in a certain place for a certain amount of time, and you have to work together as a team to overcome a problem, an obstacle, or in this case to win. And it's like you bond through that, and while you're doing this whole thing, it's like you're saying good job to each other, you're giving each other advice, all these things, and then that's how people like automatically get close, so it's genius. Basically, all these little things, like I said, they combine into this really smart kind of business design model. So, most popular genre, tactical shooter, easy to learn, difficult to master, social aspect of humans, boom, you have base game underway. Now, how do you appeal to an even larger audience? Because now you have a really good gameplay, but then what you do is you have things like rank. I didn't even get into rank yet, I just realized, but it's like you have things like rank. I just realized my face cam may be cutting this off, but then you have things like rank, display your level of mastery. And this will draw on the people who want to show that they're good at something. So you no longer have just a casual audience, you have people that want to show that they're good. Or it's both, right? It's people that actually want to be good, but then it's also people who want to show they're good. And that's why like being high rank is so important, right? Obviously, or cool for most people is like because you can show your level of mastering that thing. It's like it's like having a lot of money or being really good at something, obviously, and or like having a college degree, or like, which is why, by the way, I always say this. Being radiant is like having a degree. It's obviously not, but what I mean by that is like it has what's the word? Being radiant it's like showing. It's on the tip of my tongue. What's it like? Being radiant is like a token of, I'm so bad at this. There's all these words in my head that I want to use, but I just can't always think of them. So it's kind of annoying, but it's like it kind of shows, it's like having a, it'll come back to me, but basically I compare Radiant to having a college degree, because like if you're Radiant, it basically shows you're in the top percentile, you've reached that certain level of mastery and you're really good, and if you've reached it, then it's like proof that you're good, and it creates an incentive for people to watch you. And that is completely unrelated to what I was talking about. So let's get back into this. Then you combine things, like you take things from like the fashion or consumer industry, right? So you have a game, but then you because it used to be gamers and game design only it was mostly people who just had a passion, right? But then you bring in the whole business aspect, right? Because now it's this multi-billion-dollar market. It's no longer just like Pac-Man somebody created in their basement because they thought it would be fun. It's like, let's draw on things from the fashion industry, the food industry, the social media industry. Let's take all the lessons we've learned from these kinds of markets and what's worked and what hasn't worked. Let's take all these business models and let's put it inside of gaming, which I know sounds crazy, but it works. So let's like take in these skins, these pretty things, this cosmetic kind of thing that looks really pretty, because again, like games are no longer about the gameplay, because back in the day you didn't have really good graphics, it was really bad, but now you can make things look really pretty. So this is kind of this new element brought in. Obviously graphics got good a while ago, but now it's like, yeah, they're really nice. So it's another part of the game. Again, it's not the actual gameplay, it's the fact that it's a lot of other things. That is a mosquito. Let me just crush that bad boy. Anyways, it's like you have fashion, and then I said the food industry. There was something I thought of late earlier from that kind of market that they brought in, but I can't remember it right now. And then also status, right? Which is the thing with rank, showing that you're as good as something, right? Or there's a certain level of mastery. And then social media. Everyone has social media. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. I almost said Facebook, but nobody uses Facebook. And let's create a friends list. And then in the friends list, we're going to make it. By the way, Riot did this on purpose. I swear to God, they made it on purpose so that you can never appear offline or invisible. Because they want to kind of create that incentive that, be careful with your rank. Everybody could always see it. People can always see your game. People can always watch everything you're doing if you add them. So it's like, let's take the social media aspect. Okay, add in friends list. Add in all these other things like your name. They have things like titles, banners. Let's add personalization instead of just name, because it's so weird thinking about it. Like back then, if you thought about a competitive game or just any kind of multiplayer game, it's like you have all these things. Let's make a way to show personality, right? For example, like fashion. Rather than the clothes you wear, what title do you use? What player card, what banner do you use? What's your name? What's the hashtag? What's rank? All this personalization, right? To display like personality. It's all these things, right? And then let's also add a voice chat, which is the biggest thing, right? Because, not the biggest thing, but really big, because now it's like, now let's tie into actual human nature instinct, the fact that we're social animals, that we like talking with each other. Now in game you can talk with all your teammates, not just type, but you can talk with them live on mic whenever you want, however you want, with your friends or with your team. And then it's like, see how many things you kind of add into this whole formula, and then it's not just about the gameplay anymore. It's not just about this. It's about a whole list of a bunch of things that tie into other industries and marketplaces and things that are already really successful, and then you just put it on top of the gameplay and you just have a really successful product, right? And again, I'm using Valorant, sorry, my nose is itchy and allergy season, but if you see me like touching my nose, just allergies, but it's just like Valorant's just one example, right? And every kind of game does things differently. Like, I don't know much about Fortnite, but I'm sure there's a bunch of things they do as well. It's just like, I don't know. I was just thinking about it. I just thought it was interesting the way the gaming market is, game design, and how it's an entire business now, and it's no longer just someone with a passion for creating something. It's Like, for example, you take a game like Terraria, which is another example I'll use, which may seem biased, but it's just because I've played Terraria. A lot of people are unattracted or don't play Terraria. It's like, it's so interesting to me whenever I hear this, whenever people don't watch certain shows or like certain things or play certain games in this case because they don't like the way it looks out. It's like interesting to me because I think Terraria is like one of the best games ever made, but it's like I know so many people who don't like it or have never played it just because of they don't like the way it looks, right? And so it's like that's perfectly fine, but for a business and a big company like Riot, it's like they want to overcome all these obstacles and appeal to as many people as possible. So of course, one of the requirements to make a successful game that appeals to as many people as possible, where's my mouse, is to also make it look attractive to anyone on the outside, right? But anyways, I bring up Terraria because it's so interesting because it's such a fun game, but so many people don't play it because it's also a progression game. So the more you play it, the more fun it gets and the more options and variables there are. But it's like to someone on the outside, you have this kind of old pixel art, graphics art style, which might look kind of silly, but just like people don't play. That's why it's so weird to me because me playing games growing up is like all these things didn't really exist in the industry, at least not for the most part. For the games I grew up, it's like you never considered these things. It was just, is it fun to play? But now it's like people don't really just think about the gameplay anymore. They think about social status. What does it mean? Also, another big thing is what does it mean to be like a WoW player versus like, I don't know, Minecraft. It's not just the game itself, but what that kind of game stands for, what it entails, right? If you're a WoW player, there's all this, there's this whole kind of community and just like ecosystem that surrounds being that kind of player, right? It's like, can you go around in public saying you enjoy this certain kind of hobby or thing, right? So obviously, like as a game designer, as a company, you need to make it very socially acceptable, which is a whole nother thing. But I think this is mostly psychological things. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with this myself. This is just my opinion on things and how I would create a successful game. So, yeah, I don't know. This is way longer than I thought it would be. 37 minutes, wow. But basically, it's like, I feel bad for anybody who's going to jump around in this video. They're going to be like, what the hell is this guy talking about? So, because I think about how I watch YouTube videos, and it's like, I just kind of jump around sometimes, and people are probably going to jump around the middle, and I probably sound like some crazed conspiracy theory kind of guy, but I swear to God, it's like, I think about these things, and I'm somewhat confident in them, and it's what I truly believe. And anyone who knows me knows that I wouldn't spout garbage just for attention. As a matter of fact, anyone who knows me on YouTube is just like, I don't make things to maximize numbers, even though I know how to do that. Fun fact, alright, since this tangent's kind of over, I'm going to just say this real quick. I know how to create a successful video and formula, and mainly in the purpose of like recreating things. Like I have a couple of videos on my channel that have like hundreds of thousands of views, right? And I'm not bringing that up at all to show off, because most of my videos have less than 100 views. But I bring that up because if I wanted to maximize things for numbers, I would do things like have a persona. I would think about what my audience would want and kind of appeal to all those things, whether it's like get the most out of these emotions that will satisfy the audience or the customers, and have that kind of persona, or have that certain kind of gameplay or commentary or editing style. But it's like I know how to do those things, and I know how to create successful content, at least in terms of success when it comes to numbers. But it's like I don't do that because I make content for different reasons, but that's more of a personal thing. But anyways, I don't know, it's just, I'm sorry guys, this is just tangent after tangent, but sometimes I'm just thinking late at night and I have something on my mind, and just thinking about the content on my channel. It's just some of the videos where I'm just talking just like randomly do really well, and nobody really seems to care about my gameplay, rightfully so. Sorry, I shouldn't say no one, but it doesn't attract as big of an audience because honestly I'm just not that good at it, like straight up. It's also a big part of, I think in my opinion at least, this marketplace of Valorant is, trying to find my mouse, is I think what's really important is being able, I always say rank in terms of being an influencer, rank is like having a college degree. It's like it's very hard to be unless you do a lot of other things. But if you're just going off of skill as an influencer, it's very hard unless you have like a certain rank, because then people can't see. There's no living proof that you're that level of skill or mastery, even just to watch you. So it's kind of hard for me to do that. But anyways, yeah, just thoughts about influencer, how it works, and what I think you need to do. And I think I completely forgot 90% of the stuff I wanted to say, but I think I said like 10%, and then I remembered I had all these things I want to say. Valorant, and basically the game has changed. The gaming industry has changed, guys. It's no longer about the game. It's no longer just about the gameplay. It's about everything that surrounds the gameplay. It's about the cosmetics, the social aspect, what it entails to be that kind of player. Communication, socializing, meeting new people, status, level of mastery. It's like all these things, and attracting a large audience so that many people do that thing and you can talk about it with many. I don't know. It's just there's probably so many things that I said wrong. I'm just thinking about everything I'm doing and I'm worrying about what people say. It's like there's so many things I didn't mention, like broadcasting the esport and I don't know. Agents adding another random thing, little thing that I want to add in is also like in terms of appealing to as many people as possible. Another part is filling the kind of roles and desires of many different kinds of people, and that's the thing you see with the agents in Valorant, right? Is like you have all these characters, and every character is unique, but it's like anime characters. Like you have these key characters that each kind of fill a specific nook or cranny for every kind of person, whether it's like personality wise, so you feel like you can relate to that agent, that character, or gameplay wise, that you enjoy that kind of gameplay, jet fast movement, showing off, or more methodical, Cypher, Omen, Controller, Sentinel, or whatever kind of image you want to make others perceive, or whatever kind of gameplay you enjoy yourself. Is like you kind of have something for everybody in terms of the way you can play the game. It's the important thing with the gameplay also is not just that it's good, but it's just that it's also that you can play it in many different ways. And that's, I think, with good game design is like you don't just shoot people. There's many ways to shoot people, and there's many ways to kind of do things. And yeah, it's not just very black and white, right? And yeah, I mean, I was just smart. Take a already successful product, tactical first-person 5v5 shooter, and then combine it with things like abilities. By the way, I forgot to mention Overwatch. Kind of futuristic style, all these abilities, ultimates, but then also ride smart because they take a look at both these games and they also consider all their flaws. For example, Overwatch, time to kill being really high, all the things that are kind of annoying, time to like respawn, maybe less rounds because CSGO. It's like all these little things. They basically refine it like it's like a jeweler, like a rock, like Michelangelo, just perfectly sculpt the game. All these little things that work, things that don't work from these other products, and they basically create this masterpiece product. And that's why I respect Riot. And that's why it's like I love Valorant to death, guys. But it's like once you spend a certain amount of time doing something, or in this case, playing a certain amount of game, you see all the great things, but you also see the flaws, and also just playing games a lot too. It's just like you just understand certain things. It's just like I love Valorant to death, but the issue with playing it is like me, a gamer at heart, like me, is I don't just play games for all these things, right? Me, a gamer at heart, I play games for the gameplay. So that's usually my number one concern. It's not talking with people. That sounds really bad. I have friends, guys. I like talking with people too, but it's like that's just one of my highest priorities, right? So it's just like in terms of gameplay, I could make a whole video about Valorant, but why I think like so much downtime, doing nothing when you die, downtime, time to die being very low, meaning you have very little time to die, time to die is good and bad. It's good because it means anybody can win or be successful because anybody could tap on a head, but it also just means very little room for mistake. And if you're a very good player, still if you make one slip up, it's just over and it's very strict. But then also, what else with the gameplay? If also learning through trial and error. I made a kind of another video about this, or I mentioned this, so I don't want to talk about it, but it's just learning through trial and error. It's just hard. And you also have things like level. I'm just remembering all the little things Valorant has. Oh, you also have a rotating shop. By the way, another mini part of the market that's smart in this Valorant game is you have the rotating market, or you have items in the shop, constant bundle in shop, rotates out every 2-3 weeks, and if you miss it, now you have to go through this rotation of only 4 skins a day. So, oh, you better buy it. And oh yeah, another big part about the social aspect in fashion industry is like, it's like having the latest fashion, having the latest skin for a lot of people is like having the latest fashion, right? It's like showing you're caught up with the times, you're doing what's popular. It's like that kind of thing. And I'm not saying everyone buys skins for this reason, but I'm saying that there is a little bit of a psychological effect going on there that Riot is very much aware of, and they're very smart and they're thinking about all these things, right? It's just like, oh, you can show, these things, create a certain image, and I don't know. Just like I said, this game's just interesting, and sometimes I just think about if I would make a game, what kind of things would I consider, and pretty much would just be a game that can appeal to anybody, that anybody could enjoy, kind of fulfills basic human desires, social aspect kind of thing, and just easy to understand play, but also can be very in-depth and fun, and just also many ways to monetize that gameplay. Or just like, you don't even need to spend money in Valorant, but if you want skins, if you want to unlock agents faster, all these things, you'll be more socially acceptable. People think you're cooler if you buy skins. Like, they purposely, it's almost like a certain part of the Valorant ecosystem builds itself without Riot even do anything as game designers, because just as human nature, like, things just kind of work a certain way and come off of our daily life and work its way into Valorant when it comes to these social aspects, which again is like a lot of psychological stuff that is kind of complicated. But I don't know, I'm probably rambling a little bit too much, and I'm saying the same thing over and over again. But like I said, I just think it's interesting, and I was just thinking about it. It was on my mind. How, because I was just thinking about it day after day. We don't just play games for the gameplay anymore. It just has so much, and like I said, I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just a thing. It's just the current state of things. It's all the things that surround it. It's very complicated. Also, another big thing, the game is free, so the way you also attract a large audience is you make the product free, but then have optional things that you could spend money on, right? It's no longer you spend like $60 on a game. You have a free game that has a bunch of other things, and yeah, it's free, but like you'll be more socially accepted. People will think you're cooler if you have the latest fashion, in this case skins, cooler animations, it looks prettier for yourself. It's just all these things, right? It's just interesting to think about. It's no longer just one person creating a product because it's like passion behind it. There's an entire team, a company, a business, psychologists, therapists, people from other industries coming in. It's this, like I said, really big companies applying all these things from like centuries, decades, centuries of just knowledge and economics and psychology and just all these things, just businesses, just turning all these things into not just a game but an entire like thing. I don't know. I need to read more books, man, so I can explain this better to you guys. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm just thinking if I missed anything. I know for a fact I did, but that's just kind of how ramblings go. Sometimes you remember things, sometimes you don't. But that's all I gotta say, chats. I don't know. I hope I don't look like too much of a crazy person in this video. I'm pretty bad at explaining things, but generally when there's a complicated topic that I want to talk or think about, it's like I can explain it best when it's hot in my mind. So that's why I'm doing it right now at 4 a.m. in the morning, because I was just thinking about in the kitchen while eating blueberries. So make of it what you want. I don't know. Yeah, that's just thoughts on game design, influencer, market. This is mostly game design, not really influencer. I don't know what I'm going to make this video, but there you have it. Thanks for watching. See you guys. Peace. You know, Chaz, sometimes I think about how I made that one TikTok that got over 3 million views somehow, about optimizing your FPS in Valorant and why rank doesn't matter, and how some of my content where the gameplay has very little or nothing to do with the actual content itself does really well. And you know, I'm happy it helps people or it does well, but I'm sad because there's a part of me that, you know, wishes I could just be that kind of gamer or influencer that was really good and had a really attractive, fun, charismatic personality. People just watched for a fun time. And, you know, maybe I'm actually really bad at that. Maybe I'm not so bad at explaining things, but I just wish, you know, there's always that part of me that just wishes I was just that really fun, easygoing, you know, zero problems kind of guy that just was good at a video game, fun to watch and all that. But, you know, maybe that's just not me. And maybe it just turns out that I'm just some guy who's just not half bad at explaining things or understanding certain things. Maybe that's all I can do, but you know what? I'm gonna keep trying, keep doing it because it's fun for me anyways. Even if nobody else likes it, it's not really fun for that many people to watch because it's fun for me. And I think that's what's most important at the end of the day, right? What's fun for you. Just wish I could be that guy, you know? So badly, more than anything. But it's all good. It's all good. Wish I could just be that guy, man. Just load up a game, FPS, just headshot everyone, dominate, do really well, play some nice music in the background, just chill vibes, be really funny, crack a joke, be the kind of guy everyone's proud to be a friend with or know and say they know. But maybe I don't have that kind of personality. Maybe I'm just not that kind of guy. Maybe I've seen too much. Maybe I'm not good at hiding enough certain things that I've experienced in life that make it hard to enjoy things. But maybe that's okay, you know. Maybe that's fine. God, dude. I just wish I want to be so badly more than anything like those popular streamers that just never thought about anything else. I honestly wish I was like not smart. I don't even think I'm smart, but I just wish I was really dumb, and or at least I didn't think that much. You know, I do believe in the saying, what's the saying? Ignorance is a bliss. I wish ignorance is a bliss was real. I wish that saying was real. Or sorry, I wish I was ignorant because I think I used to be, and I was very happy, easygoing, easy to get along with, and I wish that was me, but maybe I'm not, but that's okay. All good. Hey, no problem, chat. All good.